you would consider to be the most addictive drug in our society? Cocaine? Heroin? Crystal meth? What about your cell phone? What if social media could alter our minds like drugs to cause addiction? Good afternoon. My name is Emma Bellows, and today I will provide you with insight on the topic of social media's impact on society. Social media and phones are hijacking the minds of children and adults alike. It's an epidemic that's spreading through our society, and so many people are ignorant to the effects it can have. It is a topic that needs to be brought into the light and not ignored anymore. As I've grown up, I've watched technology and social media change at a rapid pace. I have seen a notable change in my family members, my friends, and even myself as social media has become more popular. I have found that I tend to seek out public approval through my social media, and I find myself checking them multiple times a day. I started reading the book that I use as a source in this speech called Glow Kids, and it inspired me to do research to find out what causes this addiction to social media that all of America has become subject to. Social media is a very powerful weapon in our society. It can negatively or positively impact someone's life with a click of a button. It has become like a drug that causes a high we can't live without. To better understand the true power of social media, we need to look into problematic phone use, digital drugs in the brain, and the role of one of the most popular social media apps in our lives. The first thing I want to discuss is problematic phone use, because the majority of social media is accessed through our phones, and they affect our minds and behavior just like social media. According to Hussein, Griffiths, and Sheffield, overuse of smartphones can have a negative effect on psychological health, including depression, chronic stress, and increased suicidal ideation. Research supports an association between depression and excessive texting, social networking, gaming, emailing, and viewing videos, all of which can be accessed via a smartphone. Research also shows that the number of smartphone users worldwide is predicted to grow to 2.87 billion by 2020. Hussein, Griffiths, and Sheffield mentioned a study where 2,997 American smartphone users reported that 60% of users cannot go 1 hour without checking their smartphones. These numbers suggest that certain individuals have developed smartphone dependence. This dependency has been named the check habit, where individuals are susceptible to wanting to compulsively check their phones for updates. We as a society have become brainwashed by these devices. Our phones have become a life source for us. We can barely go 5 minutes without our phone, but we can go without human action for a few hours or more. Smartphones are the device through which we access the majority of our social media, and these social media apps can have detrimental effects on our brains, as I will discuss next. According to Statista, the average person spent 135 minutes on social media in 2017, and the numbers are only increasing each year. Dr. Nicholas Kadaris recently published a book titled Glow Kids. In it, he describes the effects of technology or glowing screens on the human brain. In the third chapter of the book, titled Digital Drugs and the Brain, he talks about an interesting concept that he calls the dopamine tickle. According to Dr. Kadaris, in simple terms, engaging in a dopaminergic activity increases dopamine levels so that the dopamine reward pathway is activated, thus telling the individual to repeat what he or she just did in order to get that feel-good dopamine reward, or the dopamine tickle, again. He explains that the dopamine tickle is a survival mechanism that rewards and incentivizes biological functions that are essential to our survival, such as eating and procreation. These type of natural dopaminergic activities, as mentioned above, serve a survival function, but addictive behaviors, or drugs, provide a shortcut to this reward process. They flood our brain with dopamine without serving a biological function. Chronic exposure to addictive behaviors or substances negatively affects the frontal cortex of our brains, which is the brain's decision-making center. When this is affected, it compromises a person's ability to refrain from addictive behavior or substances. Another interesting topic that Dr. Kadaris discusses in this chapter is myelin. Myelin is a pale lipid composed of cholesterol that envelopes trillions of stem-like parts of neurons called axons. Myelination allows our brains to work faster. As we grow and continue to learn, our myelination increases in areas of our brains where we need it with repeated exposure and appropriate stimulation. Brain imaging research has shown that there are physical differences between a child's brain that has been stimulated appropriately and a child's brain who has not. When connections aren't stimulated appropriately by repeated exposure, they experience atrophy, which creates a use it or lose it situation. That same brain research is showing that it's not just understimulated neural pathways that can cause neurological differences and developmental problems, but that the overstimulation of the flashing, glowing screens of iPads, iPhones, and video games that can damage myelin in the neural pathways as well. Brain imaging studies show that tech exposure can alter brain structure and myelination in the same way that drugs can. The iPads and iPhones that we allow our children to use for hours on end are making their brains resemble that of a drug addict. Now that I've discussed some of the ways technology can affect our brain, I'm going to talk about one of the most popular social media apps, Instagram. Instagram, by definition, is a free online photo sharing application and social network platform. Each post by a user appears on their followers' feed and can be viewed by the public if the post is tagged using hashtags or geotags. According to Quartz Media, Instagram is the most harmful social network for your mental health. Mark Bain, the author of the article, says that the disconnect caused by our addictive feeds of fitness models, exotic travel, and photo-perfect moments that don't often match our comparatively humdrum and badly lit lives causes discontent. Research is suggesting that social media is contributing to mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, body image issues, and sleep deprivation in young people who are the heaviest users of Instagram. Instagram, which currently has more than 800 billion users, appears to be the social network that is having the greatest negative effect. To conclude, social media is defined in its purest form as websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in networking. Our society today has taken that definition and modified it in a negative way. Social media is now used, among other things, to highlight each individual's life and to outdo one another. It has become about who has the most likes or the most followers, not about connection with other individuals. We find our self-worth in the number of likes, comments, shares, etc. that we get on our posts. Andy Foon says that the social media has robbed people's ability to find trust and comfort in one another, replacing our need for warm, supportive interaction and fellowship with a virtual, hollow connection. It has robbed most youths from the ability to flourish in a physical, social interaction. Social media is a very powerful weapon in our society. It can positively or negatively impact our lives, but the decision is up to each one of us individually. Will you allow social media to control your life, or will you take control? The choice is yours. Thank you.